to my exclusive guest, Vitaly Churkin, Russia's ambassador to the United Nations. I spoke with him earlier. Ambassador, welcome to the studio. Thank you for joining me. Do you have any hope that this peace conference that the United States and Russia have called will actually materialize and that both sides will be represented?
Yes, we do, but much needs to be done in order for that to happen. And the most important, most difficult problem, in fact, is organizing the opposition. Because, well, first of all, there are a number of organizations among the opposition, and all of them need somehow to be represented there.
But has President Assad assured you that he will be there?
Absolutely. I mean, he's not supposed to be there in person, but his delegation is going to be there, the delegation of the government of Syria, and some important players like the United States are recognizing now that we have come to a very dangerous point in the development of the conflict, risking some very bad consequences for the Syrian people and for the region. So we do have now this Russian-American initiative, and our foreign ministers met again the other day, and we think that there is a chance with our concerted effort that the conference might start and might produce eventually results to end the conflict.
Let's talk about what seems to be an escalating arms race in Syria between the Russian side and the Western side. Reports on Friday that despite objections from the United States and Israel, you have transferred sophisticated anti-ship cruise missiles to Damascus. The Wall Street Journal has said that you've sent at least a dozen warships to the port that you control there at Tartus over the last several months. And Russia is now saying that it is going to go ahead with the sophisticated, advanced S-300 surface-to-air missiles.
Well, you know, first of all, it's not part of any kind of an arms race there. There is
but you are doing that.
We are doing those things, at least some of them. But and in fact, well, first of all, we make no secret of the fact. The way you presented it, you made it sound rather threatening and sort of surprising. But there is nothing surprising. All of those things come from the contracts which were concluded with the Syrian government well before the start of the conflict. Our military, our navy, is present in the Mediterranean from time to time. So,
but there seems to be a rapid and recent escalation.
I wouldn't describe it like that. Well, we have made no secret. We are trying to act in a very transparent way. That we have had contracts with the Syrian government for air defense, and this is something which has nothing to do with the current domestic conflict in Syria. It is not. When you talk about the arms race, you create an impression that we're supplying the government, somebody else is supplying the opposition.
Well, that is exactly what's happening, as you know.
No,
I mean, you're supplying the government.
Not with our participation. The people who are supplying weapons to the opposition, they are supplying weapons to be used in the domestic, some call it civil war conflict. Our weapons are kind of for regional stability, going back to the Syrian situation as a country in the Middle East. So it's a completely different proposition.
It might be, in your mind, it might be, but certainly a senior Russian official has told me on this program that, in fact, these S-300 missiles, at least the ones I asked him about, are specifically designed to deter and send a message to the West not to get involved in this.
They are specifically designed to shoot down aircraft. This is what military systems are about.
Correct.
And of course,
so maybe a no-fly zone aircraft.
They are specifically designed not to be a part of any kind of a domestic confrontation or domestic civil war. But yes, we are against foreign military intervention in Syria. So to the extent those systems, if deployed in Syria, can deter foreign military intervention, I think it will help focus minds on a political settlement. This is what we need to do if we want this conference in Geneva to be convened and to be successful eventually.
As you know, both the U.S. Secretary of State and the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Netanyahu, have visited Moscow, have talked directly to President Putin and other officials about many things, including these weapons. The Israelis do not want these weapons going to the Damascus regime. They believe they could end up in the hands of Hezbollah. This is what the Israeli defense minister has said about this.
The shipments are not on their way yet. This I can say. I hope they will not leave, and if, God forbid, they reach Syria, we will know what to do.
Well, in the case of a government, you can have proper end-user arrangements, and we do have those arrangements with the Syrian government. There were situations in the past when the Israelis expressed their concerns about the ultimate address of our weapons as they were sent to Syria, and we were double-checking with the Syrians. And in the occasions when the Israelis were specific enough in telling us what their concern was, we were able to ascertain that that was not the case, that they were not redirected to anybody else, that they continued to be in the hands of the Syrian government.
Aren't you not concerned, though, that Israel has already taken action by some advanced weapons they think were headed towards Hezbollah and has bombed that convoy? And the Defense Secretary says we will know what to do if these go to
everybody
Damascus.
must act very prudently. I think the Israelis...
Do you not see a wider war happening?
There are great risks involved. So I think the Israelis, too, will keep their heads cool and will refrain from reckless actions, because...
But don't you think this is reckless, Mr. Ambassador?
No, I don't. This is a transparent arms sale which has nothing to do with the current conflict which everybody is concerned about in Syria. So one has to, well, sometimes we do things which some countries do not like, sometimes they do things which we do not like. It happens, but everybody must react in moderation.
Yeah, Ambassador, nobody believes
Syria.
this has nothing to do with this current conflict, and everybody believes that this is designed to shore up the Assad regime.
If it was a contract which was concluded, as everybody knows, in 2007, I mean, it's...
Okay, so are these weapons going to go? They haven't yet left Russia, apparently. Will the S-300s go?
I understand they're supposed to go, but I'm not running those things, so I cannot tell you when and how those things are going to happen. It is our intention to carry out the contracts we have with the Syrian government.
Tell me why we find ourselves here, Russia, aligning itself with Iran, paramilitaries who are in Damascus right now, Revolutionary Guards, etc., with Hezbollah, who most of the world thinks are extremists, and with Bashar Assad. I mean, you have now aligned yourself with Iran, with Hezbollah, and with Bashar Assad. Is that where Russia wants to be?
No, we want to be...
That is what's happened.
But, you know, if you choose to put it this way, again,
but that is factual.
This is your factual description of a very complex situation. I would suggest that it's a very simplified description. We are, from the outset, we're telling people that the conflict should not happen in the first place, that Bashar Assad have no intention to step down within 4 months, as some people were predicting, and that we must help the Syrians arrange dialogue. And we're instrumental in having this Geneva document worked out. We're telling people, let's do what is said we need to do in the Geneva document, put the parties to the negotiating table. So we're with the Syrian people, with the regional stability, and with the need to avoid further escalation of the conflict. This is where we stand.
And again, many people are really scratching their heads trying to figure out what is it that's motivating Russia. Is it because you don't want to see a precedent set? Is it because you're angry about what happened over Libya? Is it because? We're not entirely sure. But there are more and more people who think that Russia, particularly President Putin, simply wants to stick it to the West and stick it to the United States of America. And to that end, many things have happened over the last several weeks. Much is being made of the way Russia kept Secretary Kerry, for instance. President Putin kept him waiting some 3 hours before meeting him when he went to see him in Moscow. The day Secretary Kerry arrived, a former U.S. official, now in the private sector, was held for some 17 hours at Moscow's airport, interrogated and deported after being deprived of food and water. The parading of this Fogel guy.
Listen, I don't know. I haven't even heard about this second.
But it just all looks like a slap in the face.
No. You know, again, you are putting too many things in one basket of a completely different order. I don't know what kind of official you are talking about. Secretary Kerry received a 3-hour audience with President Putin.
Having been made to wait 3 hours.
Well, you know, things happen. Things happen in every country. Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes they call you in sooner than you expect. You know, this is hectic diplomatic life. But whoever gets a 3-hour audience with President Putin should not complain about anything. And if you recall Secretary Kerry's press conference after that, where together with Sergei Lavrov they announced this initiative for a conference, he went out of his way for thanking President Putin for the kind of open and lengthy and substantive discussion he had with our president. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on the substance of our relations.
Last time I interviewed you, when you were kind enough to come into the studio, was about a year ago, and at that time the UN had said 10,000 Syrians had been killed in this conflict. Today, as you well know, you're the UN ambassador. The United Nations says 80,000 have been killed, and it's probably more because they've been saying that for the last several weeks. I really want to know, does Russia care about the number of people who are being killed?
Of course
it doesn't seem like it.
Of course we do. we care about them. We cared about 110,000 Iraqis who were killed when
but I'm talking about Syrians now.
No, I mean, let's you allowed yourself to like make some side steps in this conversation. So let me make some side steps as well. Of course, we do care. That's why we said from the outset that there should be no military solution, that they should be brought to the negotiating table. Instead, some others were saying, let's topple President Assad. But he was not about to step down. And a large segment of the population, even now, some reliable Western sources, analysts, believe that if fair elections were conducted now in Syria, he would have a very good chance of winning those elections. Even
Do you
now,
believe that?
Well, this is what they say, for a variety of reasons, because you cited Libya, you cited other things. The situation in every country is different. So when we're told, or we felt, that some of our colleagues, Western colleagues, believed that it was going to be as easy in Syria as it was in Libya, we knew right away that they were wrong. And we were trying to do our best because we knew what the consequences of their policy was going to be. So now, hopefully, we have this moment, which incidentally Lakhdar Brahimi, the UN special representative, was urging for US and Russia working together. Now we have this moment. So let's not allow others, like this unfortunate decision of the European Union, to step in at this crucial moment and try to derail this process. So I hope that the United States and Russia will be focused, will not get distracted by newspaper accounts of somebody waiting for 15 hours in a Moscow airport. Let's focus on the problem at hand. And this is a very important task and challenge of trying to put an end to the Syrian crisis.
Ambassador Churkin, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much. Thank you.